Hello, everybody. Wanted to do a recap of a meeting that I had today with Kurt. Um, this represents the sample that we are going to generate. There's two different things you'll hear me referring to, or a couple things actually. So we have our mechanical layer, which is this layer right here. That's the first layer that goes up against the ceiling, against the framing, the ceiling joists. And then we have our decorative layer, which is this layer here, and this is the cedar veneer layer. And so let me turn off. We've got our 1.25 by 5 inch slats. Let me turn those guys off, and I'm going to turn off the mechanical layer. Or actually, I'll leave it on for a second. So a couple things for actually, I will turn that off. This mechanical layer, this is we're looking at, this is the way that it sits on my machine when I cut it, but when this gets installed, this is going to be the projected ceiling. So the we will generate a center line. Say we're looking at the family room right now. We're going to generate a center line from the room, and we will have an engraving. Anytime you see lettering or a line like this is an engraved line that will be cut with a V groove cutter, probably about 0.15 to 0.2 in depth. So you'll see a nice engraving that goes through the panel, and this would be one piece of plywood. This would be another piece of plywood. You'll hear me refer to a thing called a dog bone or puzzle pieces. That's what these guys are. And these are what gives us our alignment from one sheet to the other. I have those grouped together. So these are very precise cuts. The line where these two pieces of plywood come together is at a 0 point, and we cut these with the CNC. We're cutting these puzzle pieces so that they lock this whole ceiling together very accurately. So what we would start with is we would identify our center line and the pieces of plywood that align with the center line of the room, and we would start with those pieces and then work our way to either side, and then end. I didn't put puzzle pieces on the ends here. This is our sample piece that we're going to cut. This is within a single 4x8 sheet, but this is so you can see how these things go together once I get it to you. And then I'll talk about all the other elements that you see here. So our first layer is the mechanical layer. Will be locked together with the puzzle pieces, and we have our center line. So with a laser, they can identify off of the floor what the projected ceiling is, and align those pieces. This layer here, the green layer. Let me turn that off. This lettering here, this is going to represent panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, and so on, and this will be engraved into this piece. So if this was this first piece that was installed off the center line, we would have engraved panel 1, panel, and then 3 is on this side. Then when we would cut this guy, we would do the same thing. We would engrave those letters and those letters for that sheet. And what that's going to do is that's going to identify the let's turn this guy back on, and let's turn on, this is our decorative layer. And just as the mechanical layer below has the engraving down there, you see, this upper layer will have engraving in it also. Obviously, we don't want to engrave on the open area, but we'll do engraving in this channel, this 1/8 inch deep channel that is going to be where the 1.25 by 5 inch pieces are going to be, and they'll be attached from the backside into this prior to the installation of this. Let me turn that off. So we're back into the relationship between the mechanical and the decorative layer. These purple pins, these are 1/4 inch steel location pins that are cut, and these are randomly placed. There's 3 of these on each individual panel. So what the installers will do is, when this is in this attitude like this, hanging from the ceiling, they will grab panel number 3 or panel number 2, whichever one, and they will place those 3 pins, which are random, but they actually line up in these slots. They'll place those pins, and then they'll move it up until they interact with the matching pin that is in the mechanical layer. And then these guys here, this is an insert that we're going to put into. It's a lag thread that goes into the mechanical layer, and then it has a machine 1/4-20 thread that accepts the hole that is pre-drilled. This is a star head, and Kurt and I talked about and I have it. I just don't have the CAD drawing for it. I will get that, but we're going to use an 82-degree tapered Allen thread. I'm going to see if I can get a Torx head, but either a Torx or an Allen that will fasten this decorative layer to the mechanical layer. These guys, you can see here what we did is we have a small gap, a 1/16 of an inch gap here, because it doesn't need to be tight, because the pins are what is going to hold alignment to all of these guys. And the reason this gap here is it doesn't need to be there, but the distance between that corner and that corner right there is the 1.25 inches, which is the slat. So you can see that the relationship there between that gap and that guy there. The other thing that you're going to see in the sample is there were 2 different options that Kurt and I went over. Let me turn these guys back off. So these are both going to be to a 0 tolerance. So these are going to come together. These will have this 1/8 inch deep slot that's going to accept the 1.25 inch slats. And so this one comes through like that. That's the relationship of those. Let me go to shaded mode so you can see that's what it's going to look like. And then over here, Kurt wanted to, and you'll see this when we cut this, we're going to do a small notch at the end here so there's an actual gap. The same depth and width of this gap is what the depth of this gap is, which is 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch. So let me turn these guys back on. So when you're looking up from the floor, there's going to be this small rabbet that will travel through the piece like that, and these guys will stop, and there's an actual 1/8 of an inch gap between these 2 pieces where these won't actually touch. There's going to be that gap. And so this sample does the same thing, just this one has the continuation of this versus stepping down like that. So that was that'll be the difference between this row and this row when we take a look at that. So I've described the engraving for the installers for identifying which piece goes where. We've got our puzzle pieces, which are going to keep all of these in alignment as we stack pieces end to end to end, and then side to side to side. And then the engraving is what is going to identify which panel goes to where. And I don't know if you'll notice, but these location 1/4 inch pins are totally random, but they are inside of this groove, so they're not visible. I have to cut these on the CNC from this top side, which we can do the engraving. We can cut the slot. After we cut the slot, then we do the engraving, and then we drill this hole, this precision hole, 3 of those within this panel that is going to identify where this decorative panel fits in this mechanical. All right, let me get rid of that. Sorry, little phone call. So fasteners, engraving, location pins, and puzzle pieces for aligning. So this is what the sample that you're going to get this is what that is going to look like. Once again, I am going to use a tapered head screw in this application. I'm not sure if I have it. No, I do not. I didn't import that yet. So I will have that in the model that we're going to generate. All right. So hopefully that's helpful. We'll get this guy cut and get this up to you so everybody can put eyeballs on an actual physical piece. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.